Okay, so we're going to come onto all fours now. So you want to make sure that your wrists are directly under your shoulders and your knees are under your hips. Spread your fingers really wide, get as much space between your fingers as you can, and then thumbs are pointing towards each other. Elbow pits are forwards. Then take it into the rhomboid push-up now. So allow your chest to sink towards the mat, so shoulder blades come together in your back, and then press the shoulder blades away. Shoulder blades come together, and shoulder blades come away. So trying to keep the rest of your body really still, so we're not shifting the pelvis. It's not like a cat-cow, you're not moving the spine, you're just moving the shoulder blades. Bring them together and apart. It's quite tricky to see here, but it is a movement that we do all the time, so you should be fairly familiar with that one. Shoulder blades together and apart. Keep making sure that those elbow pits are forwards and that they haven't rolled out. Get as much movement here as you can, really pressing the floor away from you. Try and squeeze your shoulder blades together. Imagine someone's come and put a pencil between your shoulder blades. Good. 2 more. Last one here. Good. And then just come off your hands and give your hands a little shake and a little stretch out. We're going to come back onto all fours again. Now we're going to come into our Superman position. So again, fingers wide, elbow pits forwards, thumbs are pointed towards each other. Okay, we're going to start with arms first. So make sure that your shoulder blades haven't collapsed in, so shoulder blades are nice and wide. And you're going to just lift one hand off the mat. Place the hand back down on the floor and then lift the other hand off the mat. So you're trying to keep your body really still. You're trying to make sure that as you lift one hand, you don't collapse into your shoulders. So nothing moves. Can you reach the arm forwards? And keep the rest of your body super, super still. Good, okay. And then we're going to do the legs this time, so I'm going to move away from that wall a little bit. So same thing here with the arms, pressing the mat away, shoulder blades are nice and wide. And then we're going to lengthen one leg out behind and then lift that leg and lower it down and bring it back in. Same on the other side. Reach the leg away and you lift the leg and lower it down. Keep switching sides here. And you're imagining that you have a little tea tray balanced on your lower back and you're trying to keep your pelvis as still as possible. So I imagine here that my hip bones are just pointing straight down at the mat. Because if you allow your pelvis to tip as you lift that leg, you're not maintaining that neutral pelvis position, and that's not what this exercise is about. This exercise is keeping the leg super, super still, keeping the pelvis super, super still even, and just moving the leg. And then once you're quite happy with that, let's just come off your hands again for a minute. Just give your hands a little twirl around and your fingers a little stretch. So once you're happy with that, you can do the arms and the legs together. Opposite arm, opposite leg. So reaching one arm away, reaching the other leg away, trying to maintain that neutral pelvis, that neutral spine, so nothing's really shifting as you reach your arm and leg away, shift forward. Here that if you are particularly prone to letting your ribs go, that you're not just dropping into your back, that would kind of look like that. So you can see there's a lot of movement here in my back, and we don't want that. We want to keep everything super, super still. Okay, let's come off that. Give your hands a little shake. Again, just a little twirl around. A little bit of a stretch. Okay, so from here we're going to come down onto our front. So I'm going to turn around this way and lie down on your front. So make a little pillow for your forehead, so rest one hand on top of the other and then just resting your head down onto the mat. And you're going to reach your legs away from you. I'm just lifting my head up so that you can hear me. You're going to reach one leg away from you. So lengthen that leg away and that leg will start to lift and then lower it back down. Same on the other side, leg reaches, lengthening that leg away and then lowering back down. And we keep switching sides, and it's not a very big movement, you're not going to move very far. Want to make sure that your pelvis stays anchored into the mat, so as your leg lifts, you're not allowing your pelvis to twist and for that leg to lift with the pelvis. Keep reaching that leg away. So if you start to feel that there's a lot of work and a lot of movement happening in your lower back, I want you to think about tucking your tailbone under, because if you allow your pubic bone to lift and your pelvis to tip forwards, it's going to really shorten that lower back, and that can feel like a lot of work and a lot of compression in your lower back. So think about tucking your tailbone under and then keeping that pubic bone anchored into the mat as you reach your legs away. So you should feel this work in your bottom and the back of your thigh, and if you're not sure, put your hand back there and make sure that you can feel that it's working. Good. You can never do too many of these. Reaching that leg, lengthening, always creating space and length. Good. Two more. Last one. Good. Woo. And then rest. You can push yourself back into that child's pose. Keep it straight back if you need to, or you can be really rounded. And just taking some deep breaths there, breathing into the back of the rib cage. Try and get as much expansion as you inhale as you possibly can. Okay, a little body down there. So from here we're going to go into our side leg series. I'm going to come down onto your side. I'm going to start with the clamp. So you can have that arm out long, resting your head on your arm. You can have your head props, whatever is comfortable for you. And then we've got our knees bent, knees are in front, feet roughly in line with your spine. So imagine that you've got that pina colada balanced on this hip and you're not going to allow your pelvis to roll back. So keep the feet together and just open out that knee and lower it back down. Knee and lower it back down. So it's not a very big movement. You're never going to get your knee all the way to the ceiling. Again, I like to think about where my hip bones are. So if my hip bones were like headlights, they would be shining straight ahead, and it's not moving. So this is an exercise that we obviously do a lot. I want you to this time think about what's happening in your upper body, because you're lying on the mat and you tend to just allow yourself to just collapse into the mat. I want you to think about lifting your waist away from the mat, so you're drawing in through your centre, so it's a feeling of lifting yourself away from the mat so that you're working through the upper body as well. Two more. Oh, last one. And then lower that leg down. Okay, now this time we're going to keep the knees down and lift the feet and do the same thing here. Opening the knee. Again, not allowing that pelvis to roll back. One more. And then lower your legs down. Wow, my legs are aching already. Okay, so we're going to lengthen out the legs now. And bring the legs slightly forward. So we've got both legs long, and they're slightly forwards this time. And we're going to lift that top leg, and we're going to lift and lower. Keep thinking about reaching that leg away from you. We want to get as much space through the waist as you can. And again, it's still like you're trying to lift your upper body off the mat. Keep reaching. Really heavy leg. Two more. Last one. And then keeping that leg at hip height, you're going to kick that leg forwards and back. Forwards and back. Keep going. Try not to let the leg drop. Keep the leg at the same height. One more. Good. Okay, bring the legs level again, and then we're going to do circles. Reach that leg as far away from you as you can and circle. Keep pressing that through the heel. and reverse. Keep reaching. Last one. And lower that leg down. Ooh, okay, let's stretch it out. So coming up to seated. So the leg that you've just been working, you're going to bring it in towards you and cross it over to the other side. Sit tall. You're going to turn towards the leg that you've just been working, pulling that knee towards you and stretch. You want to find a lift in your spine, so we're creating space and then twisting. And just take a few deep breaths here. And we're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So coming down to your climb on the other side. So again, arm out long or resting on your elbow, knees are bent, feet roughly in line with your spine. And we're going to open out that top knee, feet stay together. Then through the waist. Keep thinking about those hip bones pointing forwards. Lifting through the upper body. Good. Oh, good. Okay, and then knees stay down, lifting the feet. Same thing here. Two more. Last one. Oh, and then lower the legs down, straighten your legs out, and then bring your legs a little bit forward. So I'm going to kick my bed here, let's see. Okay, so lifting that leg to hip height, and we're going to lift and lower, reaching out through your heel. Again, think about space and length through the waist. Leg is the heaviest leg. Two more. Good, and then keeping that leg at hip height, we're going to kick that leg forwards and back. Ooh, forwards and back. Last one. And then hip height again for your circles. And reverse. Good. And then just lowering that leg down. Oh, let's stretch out that side now. Again, coming up to seated. The leg you've just worked, bring it in towards you and cross it over to the other side. Sit tall. You're going to use your opposite hand to pull that knee towards you, and you're twisting towards the side you've just been working. And take some deep breaths there. Good. Okay, coming back down onto your back. Going to go into that cobbler stretch, so bring the soles of your feet together and let your knees roll out to the sides. And let your rib cage just relax down. And if you need something under your head, feel free to grab a cushion or whatever you've got handy to just pop under your head. Pillow off your bed or something. Okay, so stretching out the inner thighs. Allowing them to just release, opening out your hips. A few deep breaths. Just reach your arms up towards the ceiling now. Interlace your fingers and turn your hands over, pressing your hands to the ceiling. Keeping your shoulder blades anchored into the mat, keeping your ribs down. Start to take those arms overhead, behind you, but don't allow your ribs to lift. That would look like that. So ribs stay down. Keep pressing into your hands, taking some deep breaths. Slowly bringing your hands back up towards the ceiling, bringing your fingers apart and give your fingers a good stretch. circling your wrists around, and circle the other way. And then gently pulling each finger in turn back to give your fingers a stretch. Whoop. Give them a wriggle again. And then just bring your arms down by your sides. So I always like to have the palms facing up to keep the shoulders and the chest open. And then we're going to bring the knees in towards each other. So let's just reset. Let's have feet hip width apart, knees hip width apart. I'm going to take it into a gentle pelvic tilt here. So tilting the pelvis towards you and then tilting it away. Tilt towards you and tilt away. Not a big movement. Just moving my arms out the way so you can see maybe. Tilt towards and tilt away. And then notice how much of your body you're using to get this movement. So are you pressing your heels really hard into the mat? Are you squeezing your bottom? Are you moving your rib cage? Is your head going? Is everything moving? And see if you can make the movement just about the pelvis, rocking forwards and backwards. I mean, don't get me wrong, everything's connected, so everything's going to move a little bit, but it doesn't want to be like a whole, you know, a whole body thing. So we're trying to just work through the pelvis. So we're imagining that we've got that little round tea tray balanced on your belly with a marble on it, and you're rolling the marble to and away from you. And then let's start thinking about rolling the marble from side to side. So it's only a very tiny movement, and you may not be able to see anything from there. How much would you need to tilt your pelvis to roll a marble side to side? And it's not very far. It's not a big movement. So how about this time we go around in a circle? So tilt your pelvis towards you, and then to one side, towards your feet, and to the other side. So we'll just go round in a little circle. Just noticing how much movement you have. Keep going. And then can you reverse that and go the other way? Noticing if it feels different from one side to the other. Good, okay, and then bringing both knees in towards your chest. Just pull your knees in towards you and just take a little stretch into your back. And if it feels nice to you, you can just rock gently side to side. So from here, we're going to go into a pelvic lift. So feet again, hip width apart, knees hip width apart. Arms are just down by your sides. Okay, so you're going to push into your heels. You're going to push into your big toe knuckles, and you're going to gently squeeze your bottom as you lift your hips towards the ceiling, and then you're just going to lower straight back down. So you're not rolling, it's just a straight lift. So press into the heels, big toe knuckles, lift the hips, and then lower back down. In fact, put your hands onto your hip bones so that you can feel, is your pelvis coming up in one plane, or is it coming up slightly twisted? Are both hip bones level? So the closer your feet are to your bottom, the more you're going to work your glutes and your hamstrings. The further away they are, the easier it is. So kind of pick where you want to be. And if you start getting a bit of a cramp in your hamstrings, it means that you're not really working your glutes, your bottom very well. So think about gently squeezing your bottom. Alright, we're going to hold it at the top and just breathe in normally here. Making sure here that you're not letting your ribs lift, so ribs want to stay down. Can you keep your ribs down and think about lifting your pelvis even higher? Trying to really open out through the front of the hips. And then lower back down. Good, okay. So this time we're going to lift the hips up just a few inches off the floor so you're not coming up quite as high. And then can you keep that pelvis nice and stable and lift one foot off the floor and then lower it back down? Can you keep the pelvis stable as you lift the other foot off the floor and lower it back down? Keep switching sides from one to the other. Maybe you can bring your leg into tabletop without shifting your pelvis, or maybe you're just lifting the foot just an inch off the floor. One more time. And then lowering that leg down, lower your bottom down. Again, bring your knees into your chest, give your knees a little hug, and you can rock gently from side to side. So we're going to do that again, but this time we're going to take the elbows off the floor to make sure that we're not using the elbows to stabilise us. So hands onto your hip bones again, feet and knees are hip width apart. Again, press it into your heels, press it into your big toe knuckles, squeeze your bottom and lift, and then lift your elbows off the floor. Okay, now keeping that pelvis nice and still. Ooh. Can you lift one foot off the floor? Ooh. And then lower it back down. How about on the other side? I'm struggling with that one today. There we go. Keep switching sides. Can you keep your pelvis still? Ooh. Last one. And then lower your bottom down. Again, bring your knees into your chest. Okay. Going into our patella centering exercise now. So you're going to have one leg bent and one leg straight. So we'll keep the legs together. So bring your bring your leg in towards the midline. So you can feel the legs touching. Okay, and then we want to be in a neutral pelvis, so maybe you want to pop your hands just under the small of your back so that you can make sure you're keeping that little space under the small of your back. Okay, take a breath in. As you exhale, the leg that's out long, you're going to reach that leg away from you. Make that leg as long as you can as you lift the leg and then lower it back down. So you're only trying to lift the leg to the height of the other. So you're not trying to lift the leg towards the ceiling, it's just coming so that the legs are on the same level. And you're keeping your hands under your lower back to make sure that your pelvis stays still, so nothing happens with the pelvis, it's just the leg. Keep reaching that leg away from you, make that leg as long as you can. So if I was to let my pelvis go as the leg lifts, it would look like that. If you can see, I'm exaggerating it a little bit, but you would feel your lower back pressing into the mat and then lifted, so you don't want to feel any movement there. Pelvis stays nice and still, and it's just the leg. Lifting and lowering. Okay, we're going to switch sides. Bring that leg in, lengthen the other leg out, and again bring them in towards the midline so that they're just touching. Breath in, and as you exhale, lift the leg, and inhale as you lower. Keep reaching the leg away, making that leg as long and as heavy as you can. Exhale as you lift, really connecting into those deep low abdominals. Okay, last one. And then we're going to go back to the first side again. And this time we're going to turn the thigh out. So we're turning out from the hip. Again, keeping that pelvis nice and still. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, that leg lifts. And as you inhale, it lowers. Making sure that the back isn't pressing into the mat. Keep reaching that leg away. Make the leg as long as you can. It's as heavy as you can make it. 2 more. Again, switching sides. Turn the thigh out. As you exhale, lift. As you inhale, lower. Keep reaching the leg away. Making it as long, as heavy. I always say imagine that you're in a big vat of treacle. Reaching the leg. 2 more. One more time. Good. And then again, bring the knee in, bring both knees in towards you, and just rock gently from side to side. I'm going to take the feet wide now on the mat, so bring them towards the edges of the mat. For windscreen wipers, and you're going to allow both knees to roll to one side. Knees coming through centre and roll to the other side. Just go in your own time, moving with the speed of your breath. Really nice stretch for the hips. And of course your inner thighs as well, just been working. Checking with the ribs. Okay, we're going to take it into our number 4 stretch now. So you're going to bring one leg up, you're going to turn the thigh out, and you're going to cross the ankle over the opposite knee. And then you're pressing this knee away from you. So the more tension or tightness you have in the hip and in this thigh, the more this knee will be coming towards your face. And you're going to try and work at pressing that knee away from you, opening that knee out. We want to have our hips fairly level, so notice whether this hip is hitched up towards you, and try and send that hip away. Take some deep breaths here. The foot wants to be flexed, so it's like that foot is flat, like you're trying to stand on something. And it's the ankle that's rested on the knee. Now feel free to stay here. If you want to take it a little bit further, you can float this other leg up off the floor, and then hands are going to reach behind that thigh to hold. Still keep sending this knee away from you. And take some deep breaths. So notice here how my bum is still like really firmly anchored into the mat. I haven't let my bottom lift. So when you're doing this exercise, if you find that you're here and your bottom's lifted off the floor, try and get it to come back down onto the floor. You're going to get a much better stretch. And you're actually really stretching the piriformis then, rather than allowing your pelvis again to just shift out of alignment. So trying to keep the bottom anchored. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. So again, leg comes up, turns out, and crosses over, and that foot again is flexed. Pressing the knee away from you. Making sure that your pelvis is level, so hips are level. And then again, either stay here, or you can float that leg up and clasp your hands behind that thigh. And again, bottom stays anchored, so don't allow your bottom to lift. Really heavy through your tailbone. Take some deep breaths. So while we're getting into these deep hip stretches, let's have a look at that happy baby stretch. So if you're struggling to reach your foot here, you can grab something, like we use a strap normally, but you can use like the belt from a dressing gown, or a belt, or a tie, or a scarf, or something that you've got to wrap around your foot if you need to. Otherwise, you're going to bring your leg in, and you're going to try and take the sole of your foot towards the ceiling. So you can have this knee bent, and then you want your shin to be vertical, okay? So we're not here. It wants to be sole of the foot towards the ceiling and shin vertical. And then you're going to use the same side hand to reach up to try and grab the outside of your foot. And like I say, if you can't reach your outside of your foot with your hand, use something, a belt, something like that to help you. Okay. So it might feel like quite tight through the back of this hamstring. You can give it a little rub. And you're pulling this leg in towards you, so you're getting a real deep hip bend. And again here, you're trying to keep your bottom anchored. So again, you're looking to see if your bottom is lifting or if your pelvis is really tilted back as well. So you're trying to maintain a fairly neutral pelvis, if possible. A few breaths here. If you need to take the knee out to the side to give you more space, you can do that, absolutely. That's fine too. And again, don't allow your bottom to lift. So it's a little bit easier keeping this other leg bent, but you can straighten that leg out if you wish. I just struggle to keep a neutral pelvis there, so I prefer to be slightly bent, but whatever works for you is fine. And then let's have a look at that on the other side. So lowering that leg down, bringing the other leg in, and again, you're bringing the knee in towards you. You want to have the sole of the foot to the ceiling, and the shin wants to be as vertical as possible. And then same side hand as leg, can you reach up to grab the outside of your foot? And pulling it in towards you again, you can let it come out to the side if you need to. And then notice, have you had to lift your bottom here? Can you get your bottom anchored into the mat? Again, you can straighten that leg out if you prefer, or you can keep it slightly bent. Again, taking some deep breaths here. And then just for silliness sake, you can do both together if you so desire. But again, trying to keep your bottom anchored. Shins vertical to the ceiling and soles of the feet towards the ceiling. It does feel really nice. And just a few breaths there. Good. Okay, taking it into that cobbler stretch then. Soles of the feet together, knees open out to the side, stretching out those inner thighs. And just take a couple of deep breaths there. It's a relief to get there after that happy baby position. And then bringing your knees in again. One hand on the top of each knee, open your knees out to the side for those hip circles. Think about your thigh bones circling in the hip socket, getting deep into the hip. And then can you circle the other way?
Okay, so we're just going to do some stretches now to finish off. So making sure that you're lying down. Take your legs out long, arms out overhead, and just stretch from your fingertips to your toes. Make yourself as long as you can. And stretch. Circle your arms out to the sides. Bring your knees in. Give your knees a little hug. And just rock gently side to side. Taking it into a spine twist now, so allow your feet to come down onto the floor, feet and knees are together, and arms are out wide to the sides. Take a breath in. As you exhale, allow your knees to roll to one side. And then inhale as you come back into centre. Exhale, take it over. Just moving with the speed of your breath. Moving on the exhale. Okay, and then we're going to come up to seated. So carefully come on up to seated. So something that we don't get the opportunity to do very often, just due to wall space, is legs up the wall. So I'm going to show you that here. And if you've got wall space at home, this is a really lovely movement to do. If you don't have space at home to put your feet up against the wall, you can do the prone inner thigh stretch that we do in class, where you lie on your front and you allow one leg to come out to the side, and I'll show you that one. In fact, I'll show you that one now. So if you don't have wall space, you're going to come down onto your front, rest your head onto your hand, and then bring one knee out to the side, and you're trying to allow that hip to relax down towards the ground. So you're taking some deep breaths and staying there and allowing that to release. And then you can also straighten your leg out and take some deep breaths there. Okay, so you can do that on each side and really take your time with that. Or if you have got wall space, this is a really lovely movement to do, legs up the wall. So do it this way. So come so that you're sitting quite close to the wall, and then you're going to turn yourself around and bring your legs up the wall. So how far away from the wall should you be? It really depends on your pelvis. So you want to have a neutral pelvis, which means that your hip bones and your pubic bone are on the same plane. So if you're too close to the wall, it will make your pelvis tip back. Okay, so you want to find a point where there's a little tiny space under the small of your back and your pelvis is level. Okay, if you want to have something under your head, feel free to grab a pillow or something to pop under your head. I like to take my arms out to the side, palms facing up, to open out the chest and the shoulders. So you can just be here with your legs together up the wall, and this is a really nice relaxing position to be in. Or you can start to take your legs a little bit wider. So think about turning your thighs out, so you're rolling the little toe side of your foot towards the wall. So my thighs are turned out, and then you can start to take your legs a little bit wider. Make sure that those ribs are down. So again, if you need a pillow or something under your head to get the ribs down, then use that, and make sure that your pelvis isn't tilted. And you can take your legs as wide as is comfortable for you. So this is releasing out the inner thighs. And just taking some deep breaths here. If this is too much for you, you can take it into a frog position. So you can bend the knees, bringing the soles of your feet together. And again, letting your knees relax. So it's like the cobbler, but you're doing it with your legs up the wall. And that's a nice position too. So whichever works better for you. I like that one today. So this is a really good restful position to be in. I mean, you could read a book or something while you were here. But the reason that we do this is it really improves the circulation of our legs. So if you tend to suffer with swollen ankles, or swollen legs, or if you've been on your feet all day, or maybe you've been travelling, I like to do this especially if I've been on a flight somewhere. It releases all of the muscles between your groin and your foot. And feel free to stay here for as long as you like. Just relaxing, taking some deep breaths. I'm going to come out of it now, but you can stay here for as long as you like. I will show you how to get out of it though, just so that you know when you are ready to come out. Bring your legs together, bend your knees in, and just roll yourself onto the side. And then come on up to seated. Okay, so I'm going to leave you guys with that for now. I will do some more videos for you soon if you feel that it's useful and it's something that you would like. Let me know what you think.